And so, good morning. I want to begin today as we always do. Even though we're not physically in the same space, I decided to drive myself to the center and be in our community space. And so from this stage, I ask you to, with me, take a deep breath in and let it go. Take another deep breath in and let go. And take one more deep breath in and let go. And I always begin with breath. Every talk I've ever given, everywhere I've ever spoken, I always invite us to begin with taking 3 breaths together. Because for me, no matter where we are, no matter when we are, there is a constant reminder for me when I breathe that there is this power that I believe in, that I call God, that I call the universe, that I call the heart, the mind, the one itself. And that every time I take a breath, I know that that one is breathing me, is breathing you, is breathing the trees, is breathing all living things on this planet. And so in this time when we are all physically separate from each other, I just want to remind us how powerful and available our deep connection with each other and with our source is with a simple breath. And so one more time, as an opportunity to connect with me and everyone else who's watching this, let's just take one more deep breath in together. So breathe everything out and feel and breathe into this connection. Breathe in and let go. My friends, I really feel the reality of the fear that we are all experiencing. I was reminded today that fear is a response that happens to a threat in our environment. And I believe that there is something very real happening in our world that all of us perceive as a threat, that we've all been asked to step back and to reflect and hide in a way from this great invisible thing that is out there. And I've kind of jokingly been thinking in my mind recently that perhaps it's things like viruses and disease that first gave us humans a glimpse that there's some power outside of us that is invisible that we can't see. That perhaps it's the effect of these invisible energies around us that caused us as a species in our development to start asking bigger questions of what else is out there that we can't see. And I believe that there is a deep force, that there is a deep presence, that there is a deep life energy that we in our community and in CSL call God, that I believe is so much more than that word can ever encompass. And I believe that in some level that thing is evolution. It is life. It is forward movement. And it is always, always, always unfolding. And in this time, we've all been asked to stop. I spoke last week about us using this opportunity to really reflect and to re-look at our values and how we as human beings are interacting with the earth and with each other and with all of life that is gifted to us, and how we accept and embrace those gifts. And I came across something that someone sent me recently that I'm going to read you here in just a moment. And I want you to take these words in as an invitation that perhaps this fear, this crisis, this moment in time where all of humanity is collectively participating in a moment of awareness, that perhaps there's something here for us. I want to remind us that it is just the beginning of spring, that Palm Sunday is today, that this is a time where we reflect and we look for the new birth, the new beginnings, the resurrections, the possibilities of what can be in front of us when we see something and when we see things die and we see the rebirth. We must know that there's new possibility. So this came to me a few weeks ago, and I've been reading it occasionally and sharing it with people in my world. And parts of this are a little hard to hear and hard to take in, but I really want us to reflect and think about the deeper message that's available to us. And so this is called An Imagined Letter from COVID-19 to Humans. And it reads like this: Stop. Just stop. It is no longer a request, it is a mandate, and we will help you. We will bring the supersonic, high-speed merry-go-round to a halt. We will stop the plane, the trains, the schools, the malls, the meetings, the frenetic, furried rush of illusions and obligations that keep you from hearing our single and shared beating heart. The way we breathe together in unison, our obligation is to each other, as it has always been, even though you have forgotten. We will interrupt this broadcast, the endless, cacophonous broadcast of division and distraction, to bring you this long breaking news. We are not well. None of us, all of us are suffering. Last year, the firestorms that scorched the lungs of the earth did not give you pause. The typhoons in Africa, China, and Japan, nor the fevered climates in Japan and India, you have not been listening. It is hard to listen when you're so busy all the time, hustling to uphold the comforts and conveniences that scaffold your lives. But the foundation is giving way, buckling under the weight of your needs and desires. We will help you. We'll bring the firestorms to your body. We will bring the fever to your body. We will bring the burning, searing, and flooding to your lungs, that you might hear. We are not well. Despite what you might think or feel, we are not the enemy. We are a messenger. We are an ally. We are a balancing force. We are asking you to stop, to be still, to listen, to move beyond your individual concerns and consider the concerns of all, to be with your ignorance, to find your humility, to relinquish your thinking minds and travel deep into the mind of the heart, to look up into the sky, streaked with fewer planes, and to see it, to notice its condition, clear, smoky, smoggy, rainy. How much do you need it to be healthy so that you may also be healthy? To look at a tree and see it is to notice its condition. How does its health contribute to the health of the sky? To the air, you need to be healthy. To visit a river and to see it, to notice its condition, clear, clean, murky, polluted. How much do you need it to be healthy so that you may also be healthy? How does its health contribute to the health of the tree, who contributes to the health of the sky, so that you may also be healthy? Many are afraid now. Do not demonize your fear, and also do not let it rule you. Instead, let it speak to you. In your stillness, listen for its wisdom. What might it be telling you about what is at work, at issue, at risk, beyond the threats of personal inconvenience and illness? As the health of a tree, a river, the sky tells you about the quality of your own health. What might the quality of your own health tell you about the health of the rivers, the trees, the sky, and all of us who share this planet with you? Stop. Notice if you are resisting. Notice what you are resisting. Ask why. Stop. Just stop. Listen. Ask what we might teach you about illness and healing about what might be required so that we all may be well. We will help you if you listen. And that was written by Kristen Flint. And I've been reading this, and I share this with you because I really believe that this is the moment of the shake-up for the wake-up. That this is the moment to catch all of our attention, to see that there is a potential new beginning right in front of us. That for the last number of centuries, we've been headed down a trajectory that has landed us here and now. And what if all of history has brought us to this moment, so that this moment could be a moment of turning? So that this moment could be the moment where we truly see and hear and understand who and what we are as children of the Most High God, as the living life force of the earth embodied, as the life of the universe itself. Can we wake up and see that perhaps there are new ways of doing things in front of us? I've had to chuckle a little bit that our current administration is having to dish out something that kind of looks like a universal income and looking at ways to provide health care for everyone because it's necessary. I find it interesting that these things are popping up to be explored. And as I mentioned last week, if you saw this broadcast then, that there is so much magic happening around the planet as humanity begins to slow down. I read this week that seismometers in the ground that measure earthquake and geological activity have been registering 50% less noise from the surface, and that the instruments are actually hearing the earth clearly for the first time because all of the noise of human busyness has quieted. That we are literally vibrating and shaking the earth beneath our feet less. What can emerge from that stillness? What can emerge from that quietude? And I personally have been experiencing a lot of fear and very real experience around this experience that we're all sharing called COVID-19. Someone that I take care of has been sick for the last few days, and I had the very interesting experience of taking them to the emergency room today, where I felt like I was walking in a scene of every sci-fi and pandemic movie I've ever seen before. And in some ways, I find myself numb to it because I've experienced so much media in my life that has given me all these images. And yet, somehow it sparks this awareness that we are living in a very stark reality right now, and that this is a choosing point, that everything is different. And what if this moment could demonstrate to all of us that we can truly change the world in a moment? That life as we know it could actually be done differently, and it doesn't have to take centuries for us to figure it out. That this moment is showing us that if we stop, look, and listen, we can all begin to operate in a new way. What if this moment is a moment that we begin to look for new possibilities? If we allow the fear to inform us, if we allow these new practices and ways of engaging and the new quietude and distance that we all have to experience as a call for us to think, to ponder, to look deeply, and really begin to see where we want to go when we do start moving again. And as part of Centers for Spiritual Living, I and many of us have been holding a vision that we call our global vision. And we've been reading and declaring this statement for over a decade now, saying that this is the world that we want to see. And we all need to have a guiding vision. We all need to have an idea that we can move towards, because we have to hold on to something that's bigger than the fear. We have to believe in an idea that is bigger than the perceived threat. We have to look for possibility. We have to believe in potential. And so if you will, I want you to close your eyes for a moment and just breathe while I read to you a statement called Our Global Vision from Centers for Spiritual Living. And it's entitled A World That Works for Everyone. We envision all people, all beings, and all life as expressions of God. We see a world in which every person lives in alignment with his or her highest spiritual principle, emphasizing unity with God and connection with each other. A world in which individually and collectively, we are called to a higher state of action. We envision humanity awakening to its spiritual magnificence and discovering the creative power of thought. A world where every person discovers his or her own personal power and ability to create an individual life that works within a world that works for everyone. We envision a world in which we live and grow as one global family that respects and honors the interconnectedness of all life. A world where this kinship with all life prospers and connects through the guidance of spiritual wisdom and experience. We envision a world where personal responsibility joins with social conscience in every area of the political, corporate, academic, and social sectors, providing sustainable structures to further the emerging global consciousness. We envision a world where each person has enough food, a home, and a sense of belonging, a world of peace and harmony, enfranchisement and justice. We envision a world in which resources are valued, cared for, and grown, and where there is a generous and continuous sharing of these resources. We envision a worldwide culture in which forgiveness, whether for errors, injustices, or debt, is the norm. We envision a world that has renewed its emphasis on beauty, nature, and love through the resurgence of creativity, art, and aesthetics. We envision a world that works for everyone and for all of creation. And I read you this as well because I think you all have time to think, so I'm giving you lots of things to think about. Because I think that is really, truly what this time is about. For us to really take the message and listen. Things are changing rapidly on planet Earth, and things are changing rapidly for all of us as a human family, as a global family. And this is the moment that we get to decide what world we want to bring into being. Because I've always imagined, what would it be like if we could just get everyone to stop for a minute and reassess things and come back together? And suddenly we all have the time on some level to stop, to get away from the cycle and the busyness and the monotony of life that has distracted so many of us from being able to truly look into ourselves and ask the deep questions about who we are and why we operate the way that we do, and who it is that we truly want to be, and are we being that person, those people? I read the letter to COVID-19 and the global vision because I believe that these two statements give us an idea that it's up to us. It's up to each one of us to participate in the healing and to look deeply within ourselves, because in our isolation, we can either go deep into our connection with Source, or we can get lost in the maze of our mind. And this is a time for spiritual practice, for finding community, even if it's virtual, for delving deep into new ideas, because we all have to hold ourselves up so that we can hold each other up. Because life is calling us to act from a new place of connection, from a new place of care, from a new willingness to really be true and present to each other, while also being true and present to ourselves, while also being true and present to the greater world around us, to the environment, to the ecosystem, to all life on the planet and our resources. I really want to invite us to allow the fear that we are experiencing and whatever it is that we might be perceiving around us and how it is that we might be thinking about it, and really use this time to allow ourselves to be deeply informed, to really, really, really listen, and to see if there's a new way that we can start to do things. Take a deep breath in and let go. I have one more poem for you to close us out, and then I'll guide you in a moment of prayer. And so from Christopher Fry, a poem called A Sleep of Prisoners. The human heart can go to the length of God. Dark and cold we may be, but this is no winter now. The frozen misery of centuries breaks, cracks, begins to move. The thunder is the thunder of flows, the thaw, the flood, the upstart spring. Thank God our time is now, when wrong comes up to face us everywhere, never to leave us until we take the greatest stride of soul humanity ever took. Affairs are now soul side, and the enterprise is exploration into God. Where are you making for? It takes so many 1,000 years to wake. So will you wake, for pity's sake? Take a deep breath in and let go. And if it's comfortable for you, wherever you are, close your eyes and just allow these words that I speak to be your own. Right here in this moment, I just pause. I pause to breathe, to remember my connection, and to be still. As I breathe in, I remember that there is a power in this universe that is greater than I am, and that it breathes my body, that it breathes every body on this planet, that it shines the sun and grows the trees and lives and breathes in everyone and everything. I believe that the universe is alive, that evolution is conscious, and that all things are always moving towards the greater good. And I remember that I am part of that unfolding movement, that I am part of that process, that I am a place where this thing that I call God shows up in the world. And as I remember this for myself, I remember this about every person on the planet. I look for it whenever I see them. I look for it when I look in the mirror. I look for it with every breath. And so I find that as I breathe, that there is a place of peace, that there is a place of stillness, that there is a place where the fear can be transmuted into inspiration, into possibility, into potential, and into new ideas. And so let us all take another deep breath in, feeling everyone and everything breathing with us, and finding an opportunity in that awareness to just be grateful. Grateful for the breath, grateful for the opportunity to be still, grateful for all the things that are here to wake us up, grateful for life itself. And with another breath, I surrender to that power that is greater than I am, because I know that it is always seeking to express good in, through, as, and for me, and for the good of all life everywhere. And so I breathe, I say yes, I accept, and so it is. Thank you.